she hits me, she punches me, and I'm on my knee. I look up, and Tori Spelling boob was right here, and I'm like, gah! And I remember thinking, oh, I can't look at her boob. I'm never gonna work in this town again. Her father's gonna destroy me.
Hey, after hours at the Burgundy Room. I am sitting in the beautiful Burgundy Room bar here in Hollywood, California on Cahuenga Boulevard. This bar is over 100 years old, as you know. And right now I'm sipping a cold Guinness, and I'm hanging out with my guest. His name is James Logan, and let me tell you a little bit about this guy. He's been drowned by Jason Statham. He's been dragged behind cars by Johnny Depp. Ice Cube knocked him out. You stole a purse from Tori Spelling. You stole a purse from Kerry Washington. You pulled a gun on Travolta. I mean, this guy's been in the biz a long time. He's also a stuntman. It's a big after-hours honor to welcome my good friend, Mr. James Logan, to the podcast. How you doing, dude?
I'm good, Zach. Thanks, man. That's
yeah,
quite
man.
an introduction.
Yeah, you know? I mean...
Wow, I'm like, wait, I did?
So, I mean, all right, let's start at the beginning here. When did you get out to L.A., and how did you get started in acting and stunt work, really?
Well, you know, I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, and I was in college, and I went to college, and I did that thing for a couple of years, and I wasn't very good at it. It wasn't really my thing. But you know, life happened when I was in college, and it put it in focus for me that life can change at the drop of a hat. So I packed up my stuff and I moved to LA, and I drove out here with a buddy of mine in a topless Jeep.
Wow.
It's taking the 10, I think it was.
So you're about 20 years old here?
I was 21. Well, actually, you're right. No, I was 20. It was October 15th, like 12 days before my 21st birthday.
Wow, okay.
Which I spent at the Tropicana, I believe.
In Vegas?
No, here. Right there.
The old Tropicana.
Yeah, it was over by where Home Depot. Anyway,
yeah.
It's right over there.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the Tropicana was a mud wrestling bar in Hollywood, made famous by Vince Neil and other members of Motley Crue who used to come to this bar and like have chicks mud wrestle.
In my memory, and which I don't think happened, but somewhere in the back of my memory, I see like Motley Crue at like a VIP table in the back, just like toasting to me, getting taken
Hell
down.
Yeah.
That didn't happen, but I mean, that's how I choose to remember my 21st birthday. So
damn. I mean, the fact that a mud wrestling bar existed in Hollywood at one point.
And it wasn't, I mean, it was only like, whatever, it was around for a while because a dear friend of mine was dating one of the girls.
Oh, man.
Who, she was fun.
Were you originally trying to be an actor, or was stunt work your sort of initial...
The first time I saw Rick Springfield standing on a cop car playing a Stratocaster in the Jesse's Girl video, I was like, dude, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to necessarily be a musician. I'm not necessarily going to be a rock star, but I'm definitely going to stand on cop cars and scream and play, and that's when before that I wanted to be an astronaut, then I wanted to be a fireman, then I wanted to be a freaking policeman. Then I realized I can do all of those things in Hollywood.
Right.
And that, so I was lucky. I knew really, really early on what I wanted to do with my life. I knew, it wasn't necessarily that I was going to be a stuntman, and it wasn't necessarily that I was going to be an actor, or I was going to make movies. I was going to entertain people. And that's always kind of what I was doing the Blues Brothers in the talent show when I was like in the third grade. Like I was the Blues Brothers just going, hey, like it was just me.
It's tough though. When you first get to Hollywood, especially when you're in your early 20s, there's a lot of distraction. There's chicks, there's parties, there's drugs, there's late nights, there's concerts, there's every single thing. Rock stars are partying next to you. It's very hard to focus.
I agreed.
Yeah,
I found all of those things.
How'd you make a living when you first got out here?
To be honest with you, man, my parents were like my benefactors. They didn't carry me or anything, but whenever it got dark, I'd call up my parents and my mom, whatever, my mom, dad, whatever. I'd call up my parents and be like, bail me the fuck out.
Right.
Like, I was a busboy at the Improv in Santa Monica for a couple of months. I was a manager at a restaurant on Melrose that's now called Goodfellas, but at the time was called Mi Piace, I think. And I showed up there as like the cashier, and 2 weeks later I was the manager for about 2 weeks because I wasn't good at it. Like that's not what I would like roll up to people at the table and be like, "Hey, how was your meal?" And they'd be like, "Well, we didn't like comped." Like that's and the craziest thing is the business because it was so low to begin with that the business like tripled and like they were going nuts.
Go to that restaurant. There's this one jackass waiter. All you got to do is tell him you didn't like the soup in your comp.
You end up paying for the bread and you get a full-on 3 entree. Anyway, so that was one of my gigs, and like I was actually, when I first got out here, I was an art director in a Mary Wilson music video. I always knew what I was going to do. It's not like I came out here to do stunts, and I immediately, I was going to make movies. I was going to direct and write and and I'm still planning to do all that stuff. But my end to me was stunts, because what I realized between the Rick Springfield video and actually moving out here was that I also didn't mind hitting the ground. I was like a football player, and I was like, a jackass, like surfing on cars and jumping off a roof. In fact, the moment that I realized, oh shit, I'll just go do stunts, as I got on the roof of my house in Dallas, because I was playing 2-a-days. I was playing football, and my parents were, I don't know if I had a choice or not, but I was playing football in Texas heat.
Got to, Friday Night Lights, man.
Oh man, so I decided I was going to run and jump off the roof of my A-frame house and break my leg and then not have to go to 2-a-days anymore. I swear to God. Like that was...
Wait a minute. So you're trying to break your leg so you can get off the football team, basically.
I swear, I just at least get out of the 2-a-days.
Right.
Because it was like...
Even if you have a broken leg, you're like, you still need to make morning practice, bro.
The season wasn't for
Texas,
another 2 months. Yeah, seriously.
So you jump off this roof. Did you break your leg?
No. I got about halfway to the ground, mid-arc. And I was like, this is the worst idea I've ever had, man. I've had bad ideas. This is the worst. So I started calculating the math, which not to imply that I have any math brain at all, but physics maybe. I started to calculate the math, and I tap and roll and come out of the roll. And it was a big, long leap. Like pre-parkour,
Oh yeah.
And I landed, came out of it, and literally like a light bulb went off in my head, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a stuntman."
That's it. Wow.
So I came out here, and although I did pursue, well, no, I didn't pursue. I just had to pay some bills here and there. So I got jobs at a restaurant or waiting tables or bussing tables. I was a soda jerk at Mel's at one point. It may have ended when Eric Roberts came into the restaurant, and I rolled over and like, dude, Eric Roberts or something. I don't know if that played out well.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. There's so many, you do see celebrities in this town every once in a while, and if you're working in the service industry, it's kind of like, yeah, just let them be. But you're the guy who's like, oh shit!
Oh, what?
Eric Roberts.
And when I was I was fresh off the boat from Dallas. Literally fresh off the boat, and I'm carrying empty glasses down the stairwell, and I turn and I'm standing face to face with Dennis Miller. I was like, oh. And he goes, "Hey buddy, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm good, man. I'm good." He's like, "Good to meet you." And I was just like stumbled away like an idiot. Like I have so many of those stories
Hollywood
where I just
stories.
like a total dumbass.
We all do when you first.
Where now I
here.
look back, right? And I'm like,
oh yeah, what the fuck?
What
Who cares?
A dick.
So you start acting. You start doing stunts after you nearly broke your leg.
Yeah.
You get a gig in Trouble Bound. Was that it?
Trouble Bound.
Michael Madsen.
Yanis Kaminski, I think his name is, who was like Spielberg's DP on a bunch of, was the DP. So my first maiden voyage was in front of his lens. And
now you acted in one of my top 5 favorite shows ever, Beverly Hills 90210. I think your first gig, right?
That was one of my very first gigs.
Now tell me the scene, because I'll probably remember the whole thing.
Jason Priestley's maiden voyage in the director's chair.
Oh, okay? He was directing.
Yeah, he directed, and he had a little dog there with him, I think, the whole time. I can't remember exactly, but at the beginning of the episode, I think somebody like some thug named Dean Alexander, he rolls up on.
That's you?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the girl's name?
Donna Martin, yo.
Was it Don? No, not Donna. Not Tori, and not the other one, but like
Gabrielle Carteris' name was like Andrea something.
Andrea, that's what was on the Andrea was on the tip of my tongue, and then you said, all right, so it was so I think I roll up on like, anyway, I bump into one, I like leave the old pocket swipe on one of them, and I steal their something. And then she's like, oh shit, someone stole my wallet. And then she's like the whole episode, like running back and forth to like the office or whatever. This is how I remembered it.
Right.
It might not be remotely accurate. But so then later on, I try to take money off of Tori Spelling, who, by the way, has been taking some martial arts classes.
Oh, right. Because she was like, take back the night. Or
right.
She was kicking ass at that
mugged or something earlier, right?
Yep.
Look, you guys are all nodding because you've
this is my shit.
Oh, damn. I remember my line was, just give it to me, Blondie.
Oh, my God. I remember that.
She brings up the kick. Whoop-ah! Kicks me in the knee, I think it was supposed to be, but that wasn't always where it was. And then this was my one of my favorite memories of that whole experience is that she hits me, she punches me, and I'm on my knee. I look up, and a Tori Spelling boob was right here. And I'm like, gah! And I remember thinking, oh, I can't look at her boob. And it
had fallen out during the scene?
Nip slipped during the scene. And I remember I looked up and it was right there and I was like, oh, dear God, I'm never going to work in this town again.
Holy shit.
Her father's going to destroy me.
You looked at my daughter's fake tits.
You looked at my daughter and so.
Now, I got to do that show once as an extra. I was trying to get my SAG card by doing a bunch of extra work. And they're like, do you want to go to the Peach Pit and be a customer? I'm like, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
So I showed up and there was Tiffany and Priestley was in the scene. And I was just like nervous, like a little, like we all get when we're young and trying to break in and shit. I've since become friends with Tiffany Amber Thiessen, so everything's worked out. I want to hear about Statham.
Statham drowned me in booze and alcohol for about 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Oh, my God. Oh, well,
He's
not
a partier.
saying, no. He just likes to have fun. And this
Why
was
not?
pre-girlfriend or whatever.
Right.
Whatever it
Is
is.
he a British guy?
Yes.
Yeah, those guys know how to throw it down.
Beautiful man. Just
nice guy.
the nicest guy. And then we went back to New Orleans a couple months later to shoot Expendables. And we already had a bit of a rapport, and we did a little bit of, we had a little fun then too. But it was like, I was just along for the ride. Like, I was low man on the totem pole. I was in New Orleans, on mechanic, I was in New Orleans for 2 months. And for 7 days of the 2 months, I was number 1 on the call sheet. And for the rest of the time, I was number 50.
What about Ice Cube? You worked with him on Ride Along?
I did work with him on Ride Along. And then they actually bought the footage and reused it at the end of Straight Outta Compton. So I'm getting some coin off of Straight Outta Compton.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wait, what scene?
The scene where in Ride Along, so he and Kevin Hart come into a pawn shop, and I'm like, whoa, you can't come in here. And he grabs me and smashes my head into the counter, and that's the end of that.
Okay. So how does that end up in the end of Straight Outta Compton?
And at the end of Straight Outta Compton, I guess they do, which I haven't seen, but I actually auditioned. There's a scene in it where Suge Knight comes into the office and says something to some underling, like, you moved my car, and bashes his head in.
Yeah, right.
I auditioned for that. And then
they went black, just so you know.
All right, see, thank you. That makes me feel better. They took that little clip, they put that in the end of Straight Outta Compton, and I was actually Noon Orsatti again. Noon Orsatti, who had hired me or got me in the door on this Hunger Games job. The Hunger Games job. I'm in Atlanta. I'm in LA. I get a call from Chad Stahelski, who is the biggest badass on the planet. Like he and David Leitch directed John Wick, and Chad was Neo. He was Neo. He was
he did all the stunts for
all
Matrix.
Of it. Like he was Keanu's guy, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The guy has done, it's insane. So he calls me up. I have a good friend of mine is like his rigging guy. So I've been around 8711, not to say that I'm one of their guys, but every once in a while I'm fortunate enough to be on the tail end of the, coattail.
Right.
Yay! And so I get a call from Chad, and he's like, hey, man, send me a picture of you looking like just a drunk jackass. And I turn the phone around and take a picture.
You're like, here we go. I can do it right now, motherfucker.
I got a booga. And I took a picture and sent it to him. And
if he ever needs that from me, let me know. I can take a selfie.
So he calls me. That was on a Friday. He calls me on a Monday, and he says, hey, man, you want 7 weeks on Hunger Games?
Damn.
And the director picked you or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. So
7 weeks as a drunk jackass?
7 weeks as a drunk jackass. Like 5 weeks was just me as a glorified extra, getting costume fittings and shooting these little sequences because we're the like, in the movie, there it's like the 75th annual Hunger Games. We're bringing back all the old Hunger Games stars. So this jackass actually won a Hunger Games.
You've won a Hunger Games, dude.
Yeah.
Why didn't we lead this whole podcast with that shit? Well, I would be the first guy dead in the fucking Hunger Games.
Oh, which I was. In the movie, I run up and Finnick, Finnick, who is a great guy, man. The guy playing Finnick was awesome. I
actually have a song on one of my records called Hunger Games, and the opening line is, "I don't think I'd do well in the Hunger Games."
Well, my character was drunk. That was for sure. Because as soon as the first time you see me, which is out of focus in the back of the shot, I'm vomiting.
Okay.
So that should tell you something. That told me everything I needed to know about my guy. I'm like,
This is Catching Fire, by the way. For those of you who want to go catch up on James Logan's alcoholic performance in the Hunger Games, it's the Catching Fire.
Hashtag Finnick's first kill.
Yeah, so Finnick kills you.
That's I run up, and I'm like, run! And he goes, duck. And Katniss ducks, and he harpoons me in the chest, and I take it and my face pops up in the sky. I'm the first one in the sky.
That's fantastic.
It was amazing. It was 2 months of A-list.
Yeah,
it was insane.
Did you ever get recognized from stuff? People ever like, how do I know you, bro?
Occasionally, very not often. Mostly on sets, though. It's like mostly I can't. I'm blessed to be working, but I can't show up on a set and not have that conversation. And not to say that everyone always remembers where they know me from or where I remember where I know them from, but I can't show up on a set and not be at least one guy where I'm like, it's gonna bother me all day, bro.
How do I know you? Did we go to high school together,
let's
bro?
IMDb this.
Did you do stunts for Travolta?
No, I haven't. I have this scene. I could show it to you later, but I have this scene where it's like me and Travolta.
What movie is this, by the way?
It's called I Am Wrath. Okay. And it's just recently come out.
Okay.
And he was awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
Man. Like awesome. Like I didn't know what to expect. It's like John Travolta. You never know what to expect with like big stars, A-list, huge stars who have been literally at the top of the world. You don't know.
Travolta's been at the top 2 or 3 times.
Right.
Which is another rare thing.
Right. So I don't know what to expect from the guy. I have no idea. I have friends that have worked with him before, and they all said great things. So I always assume that whoever is just a cool person, and whatever bullshit you hear about them was them at their worst. And so I don't really make any judgments about it. And not that I'm not even talking about him. I'm talking about anyone you run into. So I'm in the makeup trailer. They're cutting my hair, and Travolta comes in. He's like, "Hey, man. Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, John Travolta. I recognize you." And he's like, "Hey, you want to run this scene?" I'm like, "What the?" Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so we start running the scene. And then I immediately realized I wasn't half as prepared as I thought I was.
He was like off book, ready
off
to crush.
Book, dude. So crushing it. So then we do it. Now, it's not to imply, now that I say it out loud, it kind of does imply that I was an idiot. But we ran that scene for 20 minutes. And he would have run it for another 20 minutes. If not for, I was like, John, seriously, somebody's looking for you right now, man. This is
what are you doing in my trailer?
What are you doing here? Like, no, we're in the makeup trailer. He's cutting my once they were done cutting my hair and we'd still been sitting there for 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, I had to let him off the hook. Like, he was just badass. And then I remember at one point it was like 4:30 in the morning. The whole crew had been shooting all night, and Travolta walks out into the set, which was this tattoo parlor, and he walks out and he goes, "All right, people, movie star on set." Or so. It was just like he was just
cool,
so cool.
Yeah,
like such a great guy.
It's nice when a star exceeds your expectations. When a guy comes in, he's nice to the people, even if you have one line or if you're an extra, like you're the same, you treat people the same.
Right.
Those are the people who go really far in this business. I mean, I've certainly been on sets where some A-list guys just like, get the fuck away from me, don't talk to me.
Don't look at him.
Shit.
Yeah.
I've like that J-Lo shit or whatever you always hear about. What about Justified? That's a great show. You were on that a few episodes, right?
So I got a job on season 2. Then they kept calling me back in for auditions, and I'm like, dude, I'm burned. Like, as a stunt guy, like on Mechanic, as soon as they see the first 4 minutes of the movie, I'm burned. You can't use me again. They've seen me. Then season 5, they brought me back. They brought me in to play a bartender. I worked a couple episodes of Justified that 5th season. I went to the rap party, and I happened to be having a cigarette with this guy, and he says, "Oh, I'm Graham." And I'm like, "Oh, you must be Graham." In my head, I'm like, "You're Graham Yost. You're the creator," because there's probably not a whole lot of Grahams here or anywhere else. So I'm like, oh man, thanks for the work. And he looked at me and goes,
Who were you?
Oh yeah, you were the guy. And he said, he goes, and this was the greatest, man. He goes, I gotta tell you, man, I can't tell you how many times we were in the writer's room talking about bringing you back in the 60s, and it just never came up. It just never worked out, but know that. And that was awesome.
I love that shit.
That was awesome.
Graham down the road could be like working on a new show and go, you know what? I want to get James Logan in here to play. Hey, James, can you do a Texas accent? Oh, goddamn right.
Can I do a what?
Some bad. What's next, dude? What's the dream here? You want to make movies? I know you directed a doc on our bar where we all sort of met, the Powerhouse in Hollywood.
Honestly, if I never did anything else but hit the ground and roll downstairs, that would be enough for me. Because I'm working. I work in film.
Yeah.
Which is what I've always wanted to do my whole life, which is where I feel like I'm blessed above many others. I have traveled some of the world on other people's money. And I'm blessed, man. I mean, I'm blessed. I'm doing what I love to do. I'm surrounded by friends, like people that I love and that love me, and like I'm in God's pocket, like I said.
I love that. I'm in God's pocket. I'm sort of in God's cigarette case, I feel like. Some days he quits, and then he's like, hey, once in a while I might need one,
I'm in God's urinal.
Did you come to this bar a lot?
I was here last night, in fact.
That would be a yes.
From time to time, I do find myself in the Burgundy room looking for Tom.
Well, the Powerhouse obviously was our spot, for all those years.
Yeah.
Is this sort of your new spot? Where you kind of frequent now that the Tropicana's been closed for 20 years?
Oh, it's a shame. Honestly, like the Powerhouse was kind of my spot. Like I haven't really been like a go out and drink regularly guy for many years.
God damn you, son of a fuck! The car alarm is sort of a recurring theme in this podcast, which I kind of like.
It's good stuff.
So you're not going out as much, you're not boozing as much on the town. I understand. We get older, and you know how weird it is to be the old fucking guy when you're just like 40 something and you're sitting around a bunch of 21-year-olds. We're like, let's do shots of Fireball. Fuck off.
Even with the Powerhouse, even towards the latter years of the Powerhouse, it's like I wasn't out that much.
Right.
But like I realize, and almost every time I drive past the Powerhouse now, I realize like, oh, that was a time that's now it's gone.
Yep.
Like especially right here at the corner of Hollywood and Highland, it's gone.
Yeah.
That love, that Powerhouse, what was is no longer.
Yeah.
The days of like waking up in a booth at the Powerhouse
are long gone.
Are over.
Thank God we made it through all that. For all of us.
Damn it.
Where can we find you online, James? What's going on? You got an online presence?
I'm at James Logan's Run at Twitter.
Nice.
On Twitter.
Follow James Logan's Run on Twitter. I'm about to do that right now.
And then I have a ill-serviced website called jameslogan.net.
All right, let me just read a little bit from your Twitter. This will encourage people to follow. It says, remember that movie where that one bad guy said a few hurtful things and then got shot and rolled down some stairs? That may have been me. JamesLogan.net. It's an honor to have you here at After Hours at the Burgundy Room. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. I hope that you have a competent editor.
No, this actually seemed like a pretty fluid episode. I mean, I don't know what we need to edit out of this.
We're going.
Great stories. We didn't hear any. I mean, I heard Statham likes to party. I didn't get to hear any fun shit about you and Depp getting all fucked up on some movie or something. But I'm sure that story's out there.
Depp was amazing. One quick thing about Johnny Depp. Okay, every time I walked past his trailer, he was talking to some other child or visitor or friend of the crew,
right?
Or like, and I'm not. I mean, like, hey, like in their shit, like just
interesting.
The nicest guy probably on the planet, like.
And he's playing with fucking Alice Cooper and fucking, I mean, that's not bad. Speaking of not bad, James Logan, not a bad guest. Thank you for coming here, my brother.
Thanks, man.
Go check this dude out. I'm Zach Selwyn. We'll see you next time on After Hours.
Sure, Zach.
Peace.
Give me another Jack and Coke.
Another one of these.